Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last Auld Heids speed dial of 2020. Ho, ho, ho. Over to you, Mike.
I should have worn the hat. All I've got is a beard, Dave. Listen, for my bit, what I want to do is look at the next 4 months, but I want to look at it from the aspect of what I consider to be 7 wasted years and the problems ahead of us. And I'm not doing this in any order, but let's call it what happens next. Does anyone know? We've got a parliamentary inquiry going on. What happens next? Does anyone know? We've got Martin Keating's Section 30 position, legal position. What happens next? Does anyone know? We've got a question over whether Nicola Sturgeon misled Parliament. What happens next? And all this is going to be compressed before next May into a period of 4 months. All of these things will develop. It's clear that Alex Salmond, per the discussion we had with Alex Neil, is not staying out of the fray. He's helping produce economic frameworks to look at. We've woken up, I think this is true, more than ever before, to the fact that there are list votes as well as constituency votes. How's that going to play out? Are we going to have an ISP charge? Are we going to have AFI getting through the Electoral Commission? We've got a new NEC. How's that going to affect what happens within the SNP? We've got Brexit. I know you're going to follow on in this, Dave, but that's where my biggest worry is very simply, we've got all these questions without actually knowing any of the answers. I'm going to give you one other thing. We know there's a lot of discussion about currency. Tim Rideout's at the fore of that, I would suggest, at the moment. He's not the only one, but he's certainly pushing it hard. I want to show something. I've mentioned in previous programs that I get emails from from the Bank of England, the Financial Conduct Authority. There's one from 4 days ago, MREL. I'll let people have a read at it. Maybe it's flashed past too fast, but basically it's the type of thing you see every single day coming from the Bank of England or the regulatory authorities. Who in Scotland is doing any work on that? I don't know. Is it a UK paid civil service that are looking at it? Where are the preparations for things like that? Because the day after independence, here's what a British Prime Minister could say. If you haven't got any cyber security in place, do you want some help from us from GCHQ? If you haven't got any regulations in place, do you want some help from the Bank of England? If you've now decided to become independent, we've got to start talking about customs dues and whether the border is open and what's coming through and what's not coming through. You need some help from us. Everyone can wave a flag, Dave. You and I have done it. We've been on bridges, whatever. Everyone can shout, we want independence and we want it now. The best example I can give you of how disastrous it is if we don't prepare, and we've only got 4 months, if we don't prepare for some of this, just look at what's going on with Brexit and Boris Johnson at the moment. Totally unprepared and all hell letting loose. That's me. My worries for now.
Thanks, Mike. So there's a lot of questions. Hopefully some of you will be able to answer them, because we don't have the answers. And we're a bit worried that other people don't have the answers either. So any input you have got into this will be gratefully accepted. Let's get some discussions going and get some action. Yes, well, I've noticed over the last 24 hours, there's been a wee bit of a stushy doing in the Kingdom of Kent, the independent Kingdom of Kent with its own customs, where it's basically turned into the biggest car park in Europe, or lorry park, shall we say, thanks to the French closing their borders after discovering that the UK actually knew about this new variant of the virus like 2 months ago, but only told them this week. they told the World Health Organization last month. At least that's what the French are saying. It might well also have something to do with the fact that Boris started to send gunboats to French fishermen last week. It's funny how things change really, really quick, isn't it? So basically, France basically taking back control of the UK's borders, and it seems to be working quite well, as you can see. Now this, they say, oh, but it's okay, we're prepared for that. We've got 190 trucks or 390 trucks stuck down there. There's one car park that's got about 800 of them. You can see them in the photograph, and that's no counting the ones that are stuck all the way up the M20, where they're actually giving them parking tickets. They're actually putting parking tickets on trucks that are stuck at the side of the road. Now, you think, well, where's this going to go? Well, one, at the minute, there's food coming in. Only 20% of it seemingly comes in by truck. But it doesn't take much more than a 20% duck to knock everything off kilter. So you think, well, so it can't be that bad. We'll get by Christmas. The chief of Sainsbury's says that's not a problem. We've got stuff to do to last over Christmas. We might have a wee bit of a problem after that if this is going to continue. It is going to continue. It's going to continue forever on the 1st of January. And this is just a wee taster for them. At the end of the day, Boris has basically got it now that if he does not give away fishing rights to the EU, welcome to the new 2021 English stronghold, Fortress England, and it's going to be under siege, hopefully by our Gallic cousins and by us in the north. Although, when we're talking about guarding our border, although we actually said 6 months ago that there was legal things in position to be able to stop people at the border of Scotland, and it was, oh no, the SNP don't have the power to do it. And we goes, oh, it's in the UK Coronavirus Bill 2020. It's there in black and white. Not only can the government do it, but so can local health boards. So I say, okay, well, we're not going. We can't do it. What they mean is there was no political will to do it. So now they've decided to do it because of this terrible variant of the virus that's been in a petri dish called Kent is getting let loose and coming up the road in the back of George Calloway's car. But the chief constable at first says, we're not going to stop anybody. We're not going to do any roadblocks or anything like that. And then after a wee bit of hassle, he goes, we're going to send people out, we're going to stop people with bald tyres and no brake lights and the rest of it. I know, and we'll send them home. With a £30 fine. A £30 fine. It wouldn't cover the emergency and the diesel in your car. Well, it slightly would. It depends what size the car you drive. If it's a German imported one and you can afford the extra import duty, it'll probably be that in America or BMW. Anyway, so they're still not enforcing it. Galloway was allowed to drive over the border yesterday after making all his threats to his home in Scotland. His home's in London. You can't have two homes. The whole reason that the former medical commissioner, Catherine, whatever her name was, got booted was because she went to her holiday home in Fife. So, Police Scotland, why are you letting that complete, utter reprobate, and I'm using my words advisedly because if I use other ones, like, I'll probably get banned, come traipsing over the border and say that he's going to do that because he can. Because he shouldn't be able to. So, borders. It's all about borders. We've got borders in Kent. We've got borders right along the Tweed to the Solway. But the French seem to be handling theirs a lot better than we're handling ours. And they're saying that they're doing it because of the virus. Now, they might well be doing because of the virus. I think the virus that they're really trying to protect themselves against is the politicians in Westminster. And I think that's the virus we should be concentrating on as well. But that said, it is a season to be jolly, as you can see from my heart. So, forgiveness could be asked for. I might even think about giving it a little bit. But we'll not be asking for Section 30. If you want to come and ask us, come and ask us as an independent country. And with me, we'll forgive you for what you've done to us for the last 300 years. Otherwise, if you're a yeser, 2021 is going to be an absolutely amazing year. Compared to this year, it really can't get very much worse. So hopefully we'll see us in the new year with more of these little topical bits of information. And I hope you have a good one with the people you can on Zoom or around your table if you can manage it. Have a good Christmas and a much better New Year. Talk to you later.
Can I just end this, Dave? You and I started the idea of doing the 12 Heids with no idea what would result in it. We've now done a whole series starting, I think, way back in May. I'd like to thank the people that have come on as guests, without whom the shows wouldn't make much sense. It would just be you and I gabbing. I'd like to thank the people who watch and contribute. There was a question raised as to whether or not we actually monitor what people are saying in response, and the answer is we both do very closely. I'd echo your sentiments. I hope families stay safe. I hope you get together. I hope you have a cracking new year, however that pans out. And one way or another, I hope the Yes movement realise the enormous responsibility we have for our country. It's all too easy to fall out in a small thing. It's all too easy to fall out in a post somewhere. We have a major responsibility. For the first time in over 300 years, our country can become independent. Focus on that, folks. Bye-bye.
Ho, ho, ho.